Here we are, everybody. We have issue 85 to go through. Let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to talk about the Blade Wing Starfighter first. The Blade Wing was one-of-a-kind prototype, a unique starfighter created by reclusive Mon Calamari engineer shipwright Quarry. The Mon Calamari resided on the planet Shantipole in a small landing field consisting of a secret starfighter laboratory, a control tower, and his home, which he shared with the astromech BG-81. Corey's prototype, B6, nicknamed the Blade Wing, was painted in a red-orange color with yellow markings, with gray engine and weaponry. Many of its design features were clear antecedents to the later Alliance B-Wing. Starfighter that would be built on its image, most strikingly the S-foil wing configuration and the gyroscopic cockpit for which the Alliance craft would become renowned. Perhaps the most impressive feature of Corey's Blade Wing was its composite beam system, a technology that combined the beams of 4 ion cannons into one focused laser blast. While creating enough power to deliver significant damage to even a capital ship, the system put a severe drain on the rest of the ship's systems. The prototype also included a ball turret set at the end of its primary arm. This effectively made the B6 a two-seater, giving the pilot the option of bringing a specialized gunner along with them for more active missions, or just operating the craft's weaponry alone from the cockpit. And here's Corey and BG-81. We'll talk about them just a little bit. This kind of gets covered. Corey and his astromech BG-81 lived like hermits on Shantipole, receiving very few visitors, with those who did visit usually crashing before reaching Corey's landing field. The old engineer knew that a pilot who could fly on Shantipole could fly anywhere, so after watching her test flight, agreed to help Hera's cause, donating the prototype B6 Blade Wing to the rebellion so it could fly its first ever action against the Empire. Rebel contact. The only problem with Corey's early Blade Wing was that he couldn't find a pilot worthy to fly it. This problem was solved when he crossed paths with the Rebel Cell Phoenix Squadron, a group dedicated to the budding rebellion against the Empire. The cell had been stalled by an unbreakable Imperial blockade near the planet Ibar, which had prevented it from supplying allies holed up on the planet. Captain Rex, a former Republic clone, suggested traveling to Shantipole, where he knew that an engineer who, with no love for the Empire, was working on a heavy starfighter designed to bust blockades. So it was that Hera Syndulla, pilot of the Ghost and lead member of the Lothal rebels, who had recently joined forces with the Phoenix Squadron, made the journey to meet Corey and become the first rebel ever to fly a B-Wing. Action stations. Hera took the Blade Wing out for a successful test flight, soaring high in the Shantipole skies, testing its impressive maneuverability by darting between flying dactylians. The ship was every bit as fast, agile, and heavy-hitting as Corey had promised. After a few last-minute adjustments to the weapon systems, the prototype B6 headed out to Ibar to take center stage in its first battle against the Galactic Empire. And here we go. Prototype Shantipole is born. When the prototype Blade Wing arrived at Ibar to assist Phoenix Squadron's attempts to break the Empire's blockade of the planet, it was dismissed by the commander of the blockading fleet, Agent Callus. This proved to be a grave error, though, when the new, unidentified craft led the approach toward the blockade and used its composite laser to tear apart one of the Artequin-class light cruisers in the heart of the blockade. The rebels were able to use this gap in the Imperial line to deliver much-needed supplies to their allies on the world below, and the Blade Wing's test flight was heralded a great success. Following this, the Alliance founder Bail Organa reached an agreement with Slane and Corpol to secretly manufacture starfighters based on the prototype B6. Project Shantipole would continue under Corey's supervision and would eventually lead to the production of the Rebel Alliance's powerful A/SF-01 B-wing starfighter. So I think in the preview of when I was working on issue 85, I mentioned that maybe it had something to do with the B-wing. There you go. It was the basis of it. And I kind of knew that because I had seen this episode in Rebels, but couldn't quite remember. And that's what it's when it talks about the composite blade or beam. That's what it's talking about. All the lasers come down very much like the Death Star. So all the laser beams come together and then it focuses out. So yeah, Shanty Pole, a little behind the scenes action here. Unofficially nicknamed the Bill Wing fighter during filming The Return of the Jedi after one of the designers, Bill George. No in-universe explanation for the naming of the Rebel Alliance B-Wing had been given until the story arc surrounding Corey's B-6 prototype Blade Wing in the second season of Star Wars Rebels. This story stayed close to a much earlier Legends source, West End Games' 1988 adventure Strike Force Shantypole, which saw the B-Wing's development spearheaded by Commander Akbar at Shantypole, a Verpine research station on an asteroid in the Roche system. The name of the location, the project, and the connection to the Mon Calamari species were all kept in Rebels, with the Mon Calamari in question, Corey, being named after the renowned conceptual designer Ralph McQuarrie. Bill George got his recognition in the designation of Corey's astromech BG-81. Pretty cool. I like those types of things. Let's talk about Orto Plutonia and Pantora. A desolate ice world, Orto Plutonia sits on the very edge of the Outer Rim territories, close to the mysteries of wild space and far from major trade routes. Orto Plutonia itself was visited only very rarely, with its moon, Pantora, governed by the Pantoran Assembly. Speak properly. Being the center of the political life in the region and a member of the Republic. For centuries, it was widely believed that Orto Plutonia was completely uninhabited, though this was not the case, missed entirely by early Pantorian scouts, whose brief surveying runs on the planet declared it to be unpopulated save for a handful of non-sentient creatures, were the Talls. The Talls. Primitive, and you'll recognize the Talls, get a better non-glare view. So you'll recognize a Tall from the cantina scene in A New Hope. A primitive but honored-bound species, the Talls of Orto Plutonia were remarkably aggressive in protecting their land from any visitor or any party deemed a threat to their society. The Talls live a simple existence, occupying the many canyons that the fierce winds were carved out of the ice. They dwell in huts made of animal skin. They have domesticated the Narglach, a large feline native to both Orto Plutonia and, for reasons no one has yet uncovered, Naboo, far away in the Midrim. So that's pretty crazy. So these creatures here are native to two planets that are not even close to being related. Something tells me that they were transported to one planet or the other. The beasts are used as mounts and for natural hunting skills, and live side by side with the Talls in mutually beneficial partnership, living off the land. First contact. Fearful of the fast-spreading Clone Wars and of the insidious nature of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, the Pantorian Assembly requested that the Republic station an outpost on Orto Plutonia to guard against any separatist incursions. To that end, they built the towering Guild Station, a massive construct topped with a vast ice spire. However, the clone forces stationed there were not enough to stop a concerted separatist assault on Orto Plutonia, in which the guild station was taken. Let's talk about moon of Pantora. The orbiting moon of Pantora was long believed to be the only inhabited world in the Pantora system. Ruling from Pantorian City, the Democratic Pantorian Assembly had a delegate in the Galactic Senate or on Coruscant who spoke for the region Pantora as a temperate world with vast areas of greatly undulating marshlands. Pantora architecture favored slender towers topped with plant-like bulbs. The discovery on Orto Plutonia of the Talls changed the belief that they were alone in the system and led to the ice planet gaining its sovereignty and ultimately being left alone. However, neither side had come to celebrate or lament the outcome of the skirmish because at that moment, aggravated by the noisy intrusion of their land, the Talls attacked. Charging on their Narglech, the towering, fur-covered creatures inflicted severe losses to the Republic and CIS forces, their primitive weapons proving surprisingly efficient against their far better armed adversaries. Let sleeping Talls lie. Caught off guard by the discovery of the sentient and violent life on Orto Plutonia, and disturbed by the destruction of forces from both sides, a Jedi task force was sent to the world, believing the chaos to be the start of a greater separatist invasion. Pantorian governors joined the mission when it was discovered to be the work of the Talls, who explained they only wanted to be left alone. The Pantorian chairman took the ill-advised decision to fight fire with fire, ordering a brutal attack on the natives. This led to his death, and to the Pantorian Assembly hastily voting to cede ownership to the planet of the Talls, and to leave them to their own devices thereafter. So this was actually a pretty interesting episode. It was like maybe one or two episodes, a little mini part. Pretty good, actually. Um, kind of rather enjoyed it. One of the Pantora's more memorable characters was Papanoida, who took over the chairmanship of the Pantorian Assembly. So this is the new guy. That's the old guy. He was a dick. The old guy was a dick. New guy was kind of cool. Took over assembly following Chairman Chi Cho's death at the hands of the Talls on Orto Plutonia. A wealthy and well-connected media mogul, Papanoides had little difficulty cementing himself as a very popular choice with the Pantorian people. Then, not long after he had assumed the role, the Trade Federation blockaded Pantora and, with assistance from one of Jabba the Hutt's henchmen, Greedo, arranged the kidnapping on Coruscant of two of Papanoida's daughters. With the Senate in deadlock and the security forces unable to make progress, Papanoida took matters into his own hands. He investigated the kidnapping himself and tracked Greedo to Tatooine, shooting it out with the kidnappers. Papanoida freed one of his children. Meanwhile, Sokotano and Pantorian Senator Rio Chuchi rescued Papanoida's other kidnapped child and forced the Trade Federation to call off their blockade or be investigated for its part in the scheme. Pantora was saved, and its people had a legend to tell for generations. Pretty cool. Ice and Desert. Dave Filoni explained that the look of Orto Plutonia was informed by a series of black and white photographs George Lucas made of the stretch of desert in California where some of the original Star Wars movie was filmed. Filoni explained that the dark contrast of the black and white photocopies were the look he was attempting to create on the desolate ice world, referring to Ralph McQuarrie's original stylized pre-production designs for Hoth and stripping out the blue from the color palette completed the look. Orto Plutonia made its first on-screen appearance in the 15th episode of Star Wars The Clone Wars premiere season. So there you go. Mining the Galaxy Part 1. It's kind of interesting because this is going to talk about Mustafar, obviously. It says Mustafar. And just last night I watched Revenge of the Sith again. So yeah, that was kind of good timing, I guess. A ship's captain looking to make some credits might well look to the mining industry in some form or other, be it transporting workers, machinery, or mined resources. And an understanding of the industry is key to securing the best jobs around. What many greener spacers might be surprised to learn when setting out to turn profit from mining is the number of organic beings still directly involved in the industry. For while automation certainly helps speed up operations, droid maintenance and repair costs can end up being higher than the meager wages paid to the galaxy's more desperate organic beings. In some cases, employer costs are even reduced to zero, as slavery and bonded labor are a long standing problem in the mining world. In others, though, it is a species or community stubborn insistence on tradition that results in generation after generation taking to the mines for work. Feeling the heat, the extraction of valuable ores from a planet's rock, and the separation of refinement of these ores is often a slow, involved process. Mining volcanic worlds is a good way to speed up or completely skip certain processes. Miners using the furnaces nature provides, and as such, volcanic worlds are commonly the site of the largest mining operations. However, any savings made can be quickly eaten up by costs elsewhere. Mustafar. Trapped in the tidal pole of two massive gas giants, the outer rim planet of Mustafar is a planet of perpetual fire. Solid ground does exist, but even the most stable areas are prone to slow erosion from the lava flows, or to being abruptly reshaped by the earthquakes caused by the gravitational forces that pull on the planet. During the Republic era, mining on Mustafar was dominated by the Techno Union, as well as its mushroom-like administrative and accommodation structures. The Union also built even more heavily shielded mining facilities at key locations. These tended to be where deep, fast-flowing lava rivers could be scanned for passing ores before either being redirected through elements of the facilities or trapped by multi-pronged collector arms within the facility. The liquid metal ores would be separated by electromagnetic fields before being formed into ingots for transportation off-world. A miner's life. The smart spacer knows that Mustafar manufactures most of the mining technologies it needs itself, but the only thing of which there is always a shortage of is water. This is because while many who work the mines are locals, hardened to the environment, a large number of off-worlders who need water to survive the otherwise unbearable hot conditions. Besides, without water, Mustafar miners would not be able to brew hooch that was a popular, if dangerous, tipple among the locals of the more rough and ready settlements. Smugglers and inhabitants typically don't get much of a look in with Mustafar's mining companies, most of whom run a closed shop and use their own shipping companies. However, particularly in the Imperial era, miners saw their bosses' control diminish to a degree as crime syndicates such as Black Sun exerted increasing influence over the industry. In their height, such groups effectively ran many of the smaller towns, though while they may have enjoyed seeing their employers taken down a peg, this did not always make life any easier for the miners. Mustafar plant shielding. The unique evolutionary environment of the Mustafarian lava flea saw extract saw it extract minerals and metals from the crust of the planet and deposit underneath its skin to be reformed into lava-resistant plates of chitin. The Mustafarian harvested these plates and fashioned them into wearable armor, specifically crafted to their own physiology to protect themselves against the heat of the lava. Modern mining facilities, however, are built to employ off-worlders, so they have to rely more heavily on plant shields. If these fail, even the toughest modern alloys or protective gear will last mere minutes against the impossible heat of lava flows. This is something ship's captains have to keep in mind. Smaller outposts, which are more commonly manned by natives, rarely have extensive shielding, and a sudden volcanic eruption can deadly havoc in the town. It then follows that any starship landed in the town will likely not be taken off anytime soon after. Worse still, any survivors would likely be stranded with little option but to work the dangerous lava flows to earn enough credits to get off world. Shu Turun deals by dance from space. The mid-rim world of Shu Turun uh, doesn't look much different from Mustafar. Closer in, the spacers will see that there is more solid ground on the world, bringing with it a greater degree of seismic stability. Though between the stable land, the planet is dominated by lava flows, which, like Mustafar, attracted the mining industry to the world in the Republic era. The planet was settled by human explorers relatively early in the days of the Galactic Republic. Rich in mineral wealth, it had made the families of those first hardy settlers insanely wealthy, and over the following centuries, protected from the occasionally deadly vagrancies of galactic politics by its importance as an independent resource world, developed an oddly stagnant feudal culture. Any spacers hoping to do business with the people of Shu Torun might like to read up on their customs and practice their dance moves. This is because Shu Torun society revolves around its monarchy and the number of elite families, and courtly culture dominates. Oddly, dancing is prized as the ultimate skill and is compulsory at courtly gatherings. The dances are intricate to the point of requiring intense study. To further complicate matters, they are layered with additional social and political convention. Shu Tone Ordukes. Each ruling family, led by an Orduke or Duchess, um, owns and operates one or more vast, often ancient mining vehicles referred to as delving citadels. Unshielded but fitted with the latest geographical scanning technology available, the machines, resembling an odd mix of battlecruiser, mineshaft, and cathedral, are the foundation of each elite family's wealth. Trade on Shutorun is handled almost exclusively by the nobility, with the majority of ore flowing as tribute through the royal family and out into the galaxy. During the Imperial era, Shuturun was heavily taxed, with the Empire swallowing up almost all of its output. Even then, though, it was in many ways still is possible for the smart captain to make a living. Rivalry between the Ordukes is intense, with each one seeking an advantage over the others and over the royal family. Although this is usually a simple financial advantage, all the ruling families have secret deals to ship out processed ore in return for funds. Technology or weapons cultivating contracts can be laborious, to say the least, and avoid having to learn the dancing, and probably best done through a representative off-world. There you go. Kind of stumbled through that, so that sucked. Vader. Between 2015 and 2016, the lava mining planet of Shutorun appeared in Marvel's Star Wars comic series Darth Vader. It was first revealed in the Darth Vader Annual, before the tale of Vader taking on the rebellion Ordukes was picked up again in 2016. The arc was written by British journalist and author Kieran Gillen. There you go. That is everything in this issue. We completed all the work. We did all the things. And next time we'll be working on 86. So looks like we'll be doing the LED at the front and some additional details. We're going to get a bunch of other LEDs. Those will be cool. So we'll see what happens there. I want to thank you all for joining me for this issue, and may the force be with you always.